4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning. Finally, we get to do one of these shows early. Yes, we are doing our strict schedule Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, doing the live stream because this is the Rich Report, bringing you the richest content across entertainment. It's the four of us. My name is Cameron Richardson, and joining me as always, Sean Clark, Evan McNelia, and Johnny Crane. Gentlemen, how are you doing on a Wednesday morning?
Doing fantastic. This is the final day of Euro group stage, and then we get ourselves ready for the knockout stage. So very excited to see what the round of 16 bracket holds. And we also had a crazy night in sports last night. Let's get into it.
Looking forward to the Bucks game tonight. Looking forward to some of the MLB action, the continued Dodgers-Padres series as we get down the stretch here, but I'm doing good.
See, I'm doing fine, but I'm not sure if someone else in this chat is doing fine. It kind of, I texted the group last night saying,
by the way, you
this is my time
by the
to
way
talk.
You entered this chat, you didn't sound too happy. So I don't know. Maybe you're trying to rub that off on me or something.
I just woke up. So anyway, your sob story can now begin, Cameron. Go ahead.
Well, before we get to that part, we got to talk about, we got a major problem, and it's going on in the MLB. And I hate to call it Major League Baseball because what we're watching is not Major League Baseball. It's what I like to call Manfred League Ball, because last night may have been the start of the very end for what we know as the beautiful game of baseball, because between innings now, or for a certain amount of innings, pitchers are being checked routinely to see if they have any substances on it, whether it be taking off the hat, going through the hair, like the umpires are running their hair through Max Scherzer's beautiful bald spot. Sergio Romo taking off his pants pretty much in the middle of the field in Oakland. And we had pitchers having their gloves taken away because they were too light of a color. What are we doing? How did we get to this point to where we have to check pitchers, pretty much do a strip search like we're going through TSA checkpoint before getting on airline, that we have to go through these pitchers? Look, pitchers, the game is controlled by the pitchers. They're the ones that hold the ball for the entire game, not the umpires, not Major League Baseball. And now all of a sudden, baseball over the last 2 years have decided that they don't want the game to be in the pitcher's hands. They want it to be in their hands to create a more entertaining game, manipulate the score so we have more offense, more runs, more home runs, more whatever. Baseball said, hey, yeah, the ball was juiced last year to increase home run rate. And guess what? The pitchers said, you know what? We're taking the game back into our hands. And that's where you saw, this is why those spin rates are increasing even more so than they've ever been, because you know what? They want to take back what was taken from them last season. And now we have a dead end ball and all that. We're at a lost state for baseball right now. And Johnny, I'm gonna let you start first because you're kind of on the same wavelength that I am with anger towards good old Commissioner Rob Manfred. So what were your thoughts on just the absolute chaos MLB went under last night?
Here's the thing about these routine checks. Here's the thing about the sticky substance usage. Number one, okay, maybe some pitchers have taken it a little too far with some of these substances, but does that mean that they should be forced to go cold turkey on everything? No, I don't really think so. However, when you look at these routine checks, the problem I have, and it's not really a problem I see right now, it's more so the problem I'm going to see later on. Baseball is all about pattern recognition. And pitchers recognize a lot of patterns. And the pitchers that are going to be the so-called culprits in maybe using substances that are probably foreign, they're going to recognize patterns very quickly. You can't just check at the start of the game and consider it done. Because you know what? Pitchers are going to catch up on that. And they're going to say, wait a minute, they're not checking me in the fifth inning onward. I'm going to put something on then. So I understand the random checking now. I get that. I don't understand taking away somebody's glove. Foreign substance usage, Is it gone to the extreme? Yes. But guess what? You know, it was also to the extreme, them juicing up the ball to begin with. Juicing up the ball, the foreign substance extremes. I get what they're trying to do, but they're changing it up too much. And they're changing it up knee-jerkingly midway through the season. If you wanted to get pitchers on the same wavelength in regard to these foreign substance usages, this is what you should have done. Instead of starting it midway through the season, one season after we did 60 games, the pitchers are already going through a lot as is. Their workload is that much bigger now, 60 games to 162 games. We're talking about 15 plus additional starts for some of these guys. They should have figured this out right now, hash out the rules in the offseason, and experiment with it during spring training next year. But no. Now you got to do it this year because the hitters complained now somehow. It's just a expletive show. That's what it is. I don't know where to begin. There's so much. Yeah, advertise the players maybe. That'd be a good idea, but no. Let's just tinker with the foreign substances and tinker with the ball and tinker with the extra innings. That'll be fine, right?
I just gotta point out something here. Last year, games were way too high scoring. What do I mean by that? Seemingly every half inning there was at least one or two home runs. It was ridiculous last season, except for the postseason. Home runs were definitely out of control. This season, it's been the opposite. Pitching has been out of control. Does this league understand balance? Does it understand that you have great pitchers and great hitters, or do you just want to throw out great pitchers and great hitters? Like find a balance, people. Seriously. This is getting ridiculous. How am I supposed to take this league seriously if you're leaning toward pitchers one season, but you leaned on hitters the previous season? That would be like if the NFL suddenly changed all of their rules immediately this past offseason for defense to take over, and most games are like 13-7, like it was in 1968. Okay, make up your mind, Rob Manfred, what you want to do with Major League Baseball. Do you want to have balance? Do you want to have pitchers dominate? Do you want to have hitters dominate? Because you can't have one extreme. You can't do that. Make up your mind. Look, I get that rules in the NFL are favored toward offense, but I still think defense wins championships, right? So the NFL does have that balance. Major League Baseball does not have that balance, and it's getting more and more difficult to take this league seriously if they continue to do that, because I don't even know what Major League Baseball is.
I mean, it's truly just been ugly. See, I mean, it's just weird later in games when relievers are coming in and out, seeing them get checking under their belts, under their hats. I saw the Max Scherzer situation, where the other team's coach had requested for the umpire to check him like twice during the game, and he was pretty heated about it. And I don't know. I feel like if not NFL, sorry, thinking about Sean's bit there. But if the MLB really wants to stop pitchers from using foreign substances, it has to be led by the umpires. It can't be other teams pointing things out and trying to call players out throughout the game. It has to be something umpires are trained to see and know when to check for it. And right now, it doesn't seem like they have that training because they're implementing this mid-season. I think it should have waited a year. But other than that, I mean, I think it could be good for the game of baseball, getting rid of foreign substances. But the way it's being implemented and executed right now is just atrocious and bad for baseball.
So what do you do? Because Clayton Kershaw said there needs to be something towards managers trying to do it in bad faith. And obviously Joe Girardi had Max Scherzer being checked in bad faith to try to throw him off his game. But regardless, just getting checked is going to throw off pitchers' games because they have a routine. There's a strict routine you go through in baseball. You walk off the mound, you only take a couple steps. There's a lot of routines that baseball players stick to so it doesn't throw them off. And when you have, okay, well, you got to take off your hat, take off your belt, take off your pants. I mean, you got to do all this stuff. after innings, of course it's going to throw them off. There's a strict routine they go out. They only take a certain amount of steps. You never walk on the chalk during on the baseball field. There's so much stuff you go through and just have it thrown off because the league is just I don't know what we're at with this league. They're paranoid that the pitchers are just going to be dominating the game completely. Like there's only so many starters out there that are just completely running over this game. Jacob deGrom is the one extreme this season just because he's that good, though. He's been doing it 4 years. This isn't a brand new thing. Jacob deGrom just didn't come out of nowhere. This is a guy that's dominated the league for a good part of a decade now. And to see it just say, you know what? No pitchers can dominate anymore. We need to take this out. We need 14 to 11 games now. And it's hypocritical of Rob Manfred because he just contradicts everything he wants. He wants pace of play, but yet he wants 25 innings per game, 25 runs per game, and he's checking all these pitchers. Now, granted, it's during that time they have between innings, but still, you're taking away that pace of play when you have these pitchers getting checked, especially when managers are getting checked for it. But what do we do about it? Because this is going to make your star pitchers angry. It's going to make it deGrom angry. Scherzer's already mad after game one. What do you think it's going to do to other starters who are even or you even have shorter fuses than other guys? Do pitchers start quitting? Do they start just not showing up? Like, how can we fix this? Is there a way to fix it?
Look, the street goes both ways. You know what? And I'll go out and say it. Max Scherzer overreacted there. I'm sorry. He did. The street goes both ways. Joe Girardi went too extreme, icing the pitcher, that is Max Scherzer, and asking for a challenge midway through the inning. But on the other hand, if you have nothing to hide, then don't freak out when someone checks you. Because again, it goes back to pattern recognition. You can't expect in the long run, should this be a rule that's implemented for years to come, expect pitchers to say, yeah, you know what? They're going to check me at the beginning of the game, and I'm going to cooperate everything after that. No, there's going to be pitchers out there that I'm telling you, they're going to find something and they're going to be crafty because that's what pitchers are. They're going to find something and realize, wait a minute, they're not checking me after the fifth inning. I'm going to put something on then. So if you have nothing to hide, don't make a bad reaction about it. Now, again, this goes on Joe Girardi and the Phillies too. You shouldn't have iced Max Scherzer like that. But then again, like, come on, Scherzer. Like, you don't have to. No, like, come on, man.
So you're saying they shouldn't be frustrated thinking that the MLB believes they're cheating. Every single pitcher in Major League Baseball. This isn't just a couple here. This is every single one. You're telling me that pitchers aren't going to want to revolt thinking that, oh, well, even our league doesn't believe we're playing the right way. That's got to be a little bit frustrating.
Watch the entire outlook on how that particular incident happened. Max Scherzer stared down that dugout for 10 minutes. If you're in that dugout, what are you going to do? I'm not saying Max Scherzer initiated that entirely, but he initiated a lot of the issues that were going on after he got checked. Again, if you have nothing to hide, you don't have to overreact as bad as he did. Now, be frustrated, sure, your pace was thrown off, but he's a Hall of Famer. He's had his pace thrown off before, and he's been fine, hasn't he? I don't know what you do, but I'm with Evan on this. And I said this on my initial thing. Why they started this now, I have no idea. That's the problem I have, because there's already rules that are already being challenged within the rule books that you've already decided on how you're going to implement this. How many challenges do you get? If a manager challenges midway through the inning and they're wrong about the pitcher they're challenging, is there going to be some sort of consequence on the manager? Should there be a consequence on the manager? I'm not too sure. But if this goes at the pace it's going and what Joe Girardi did becomes the norm for all managers, you're going to be seeing pitchers getting iced every other half inning. And that's a problem because that throws off the pace of play, like you said. There has to be some sort of limit on how many challenges you have, if you want to call it a challenge. But also, like Evan said, the umpires have to see this too. This should not be something the managers initiate. And again, this goes back to training. This goes back to being aware of how the game is going and how the pace is going. But the fact that they started it now, there's going to be incidents like this. We just got to get ready for it. And I don't know what you do.
Listen, Like I said earlier, the fact that we don't have this balance is very frustrating. Now, I do want to obviously look at both sides here. First of all, pitching has been absurd this season. Cameron, I kind of disagree when you said there's only so many starters. Have you seen how many no hitters there have been this season? Absurd amount of no hitters. Okay. And
So you're saying no hitters shouldn't happen, or
not
that
at that rate. It seemingly
That is a lot. There's
Yeah,
a historical rate.
Yeah, historical rate. Okay.
but that's a problem? Are we saying
Yes,
that
it
pitchers
is
are
a
cheating if
problem.
so pitchers are cheating? So no hitters
Hold
means
on. Let me
pitchers
finish
are
my point.
cheating.
Hold on. Like I said, there has to be a balance. Yes, pitchers are getting too rampant, but at the same time, checking all of them to see if they're cheating is the other extreme. It is also something you do not do. Maybe have, like a pre-flight check or something like that, so to speak. Or I don't know, maybe have ways to monitor if they do, so players don't feel like they're at TSA. There needs to be ways to make sure that players just aren't being called out. It's like all these insane breakout performances in the NFL. Random drug test. Here you go. Okay, that isn't good. The psyche of that happening just limits your enjoyment of the game, and then pitchers start to lose their confidence. And what happens? The other extreme. You gotta find the balance of checking beforehand, or just finding a way to monitor where players don't feel like they're under a super tight microscope. It's not that hard, people.
But before Evan talks, people need to realize, and again, I was really against this foreign substance ban when I started, but the more I read, there was one quote that really stood out to me. It was an article by Sports Illustrated. The opposing dugout, when they were watching a pitcher, they would get a ball that the pitcher had. The problem, and this could tell you how extreme the problem was, is that there was so much stuff on the ball that they could replicate the grip that the pitcher had on the mound. Think about that. There was so much icky stuff on the ball that they could replicate exactly where the fingers were on the seams, where specifically on the seam they were throwing. That's a problem to me. I'm sorry.
I mean, and if that was a real issue before, I mean, like if they can physically see where the pitcher was holding the ball, umpires are supposed to be checking balls anyways. They're supposed to be looking at the quality, making sure there's no scuff. Like I umpired for a little bit, and we're told any little scuff mark that could potentially like question the integrity of the ball, toss it out. And so, I mean, for in the MLB, for umpires to, I mean, not see this, I mean, I don't know, or not care or not enforce it, or it's such a rapid movement from not caring to TSA checks on the baseball diamond. Like it just seems like such an overcorrection too early in the process of reviewing the rules around this. And I don't know, I just think it was mishandled by the MLB.
In some lighter news, Tampa Bay Rays may have found another breakout sensation as Wander Franco's first major league hit was a home run. Now, quickly, is this just going to be another Randy Arozarena? Is this going to be a breakout year for Wander? Is he going to be the leading hitter for Tampa Bay? Potentially making another run at winning the AL pennant.
This guy is the real deal. He is for real. He's 20 years old. He was dominating at AAA too. The average age in AAA, give or take, is around 23, 24. And he was 20. And he had an OPS over 900, close to 1,000 in the time he spent there. I watched him very closely in his first game last night. He drew a walk in his first at-bat. His second at-bat, he flew out, but that was to dead center field. He made good contact on that ball. And then, of course, he hit the ball out. He brought in a double, too. He is a contact machine. And what's the MO in the league today? We're seeing this with the foreign substance usage. More home runs, more strikeouts, the 3 true outcomes: strikeout, walk, home run. This guy is contact, 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 and the home runs come with it. We're talking about his ceiling is a superstar. Like, he can have the impact that Fernando Tatis had on the Padres, that Manny Machado had on the Orioles all those years ago. We're talking something of that magnitude. And again, there's a lot of stuff going on with the Rays right now. Tyler Glass now tore his UCL. He's probably going to be out for the foreseeable future. This might be the guy that is the spark plug that puts them back into that pennant conversation.
Not only did he home run in his first at-bat, but he homered to the opposite field, like what Shohei Ohtani does almost every home run he hits. That is a lot harder to do. Like, yes, you can hit to dead center, you can hit it to, right field, but when you hit it to the opposite field on your first home run, that's saying a lot. And he is the real deal, and he is going to give the Rays that spark, because let's be real here. The Rays are not the best hitting team in baseball. They never really have been. They've always been a more pitching lenient team. But with Tyler Glass now, their ace being out, they needed that spark in their lineup, and that's what they got. And that's in some ways what the Mariners are going to see in Jarred Kelenic for the future. That's that spark in the outfield that's just going to allow them, to have that difference maker going forward. You need difference makers in your lineup. Why I think the Dodgers won the World Series their first year with Mookie Betts, because he was a difference maker. Juan Soto broke out in 2019. He was a difference maker. Not saying that Wander Franco is going to lead the Rays to a World Series title this season, but it's very possible. I wouldn't say he's going to be the best hitter on the team this year, but could he be a high-impact player in the postseason? Yes. Could the Rays win the World Series? Pretty likely, especially if Glasnow somehow comes back late in the season. But even if he doesn't, the Rays are still a contender, and that's because of Wander Franco giving this lineup more of a juice.
I think more of a juice is exactly right, Sean. This guy, not only does he have all the bat skills and fielding skills necessary to make him a top prospect and one of the most exciting young players that has made their debut in the game in recent years, his versatility to play shortstop and second base is going to prove huge. He could play half the infield, and then at the same time, the energy he brings to the clubhouse is unparalleled. You saw him after hitting that home run last night. He was running, he was jumping around with half the team. The entire team cleared out the dugout for him. It was an exciting event, and he was very hyped. It was, I don't know. I like seeing young guys with energy. It reminds me a little bit of Tatis, how he's come on, and just the excitement. And baseball can benefit from more players like him.
Euro 2020, for some reason that it's called, we're in 2021, is in full swing, and it's our final day of the group stage. So, Sean Clark, who has impressed you the most so far as we get to the knockout round?
There are two teams that I want to discuss. One, Italy. You have to talk about Italy. They went the entire group stage, all three matches, without conceding a single goal. They outscored Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey 7-0 in the group stage alone. That's ridiculous. Italy has an unbeaten streak of 28 matches. That's ridiculous. Italy has brought back the defensive powerhouse that we have seen going back to 2006. Back when Italy won the World Cup. This is the best that Italy's looked since then. Now, Italy has struggled big time since winning the 2006 World Cup. They struggled throughout Euros. They haven't made it past the quarterfinals of any major tournament. Well, besides 2012 when they made it to the final, but that's it. 2012 Euro final when they lost to Spain was the only real success that they have had since 2006. 2014, they were knocked out of the group stage by Uruguay and Costa Rica. And in 2018 World Cup, oh wait, they weren't even there. Roberto Mancini has done an absolutely amazing job giving Italy some structure and some pace and playmaking. Spinazzola and Roberto Insigne on the left wing is absolutely sensational. Italy on the left wing is dominant, and they just have playmakers everywhere you look. Ciro Immobile is one of the best strikers of the last decade. Just look at his numbers at Lazio. They're absurd. He even won the European Golden Shoe once, which is the leading scorer in all 5 European leagues. So Italy is great everywhere you look. And considering that they haven't conceded a single goal in the group stage, and they're already looking like one of the best teams, they may reach the semifinals easily. They may blow out their way to the semifinals. They may legitimately end up winning this competition. Now, Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey is not the best group in the world, but they're still pretty great. And I would love to see this team go up against Kylian Mbappe in France. What a dream matchup that would be. But to me, the real pleasant success story of Euro 2020 so far has been the Dutch. The Dutch have not been in a major tournament since the 2014 World Cup when they finished in third place. They didn't make Euro 2016. They didn't make the 2018 World Cup. Wesley Sneijder, Arjen Robben, and Robin van Persie, probably the three of the best players they've ever had, are all gone. This is a complete new era of Dutch football, and they don't have their best player in Virgil van Dijk, who should have won the 2019 Ballon d'Or. Memphis Depay has shown that he is a legit striker. And how about Denzel Dumfries with 2 goals at the right back position? He plays for PSV. I guarantee that some of the top clubs in Europe could maybe use a new right back, and he would be a perfect addition for them. The Dutch have been pacey. They've been prolific. Jorginho Wijnaldum, who used to play for Liverpool, now is transferring to PSG, has looked sensational this tournament. The Dutch, they did blow a 2-0 lead to Ukraine, but then they ended up winning. But they dominated Austria and North Macedonia. They took all 9 points, and they are going to be a fun team to watch. I would love for them to play a team like England, which would be very entertaining. But I could also see the Dutch going to the semifinals as well. They've been quite incredible to watch, and they're doing this without Virgil van Dijk.
And we got a little bit of madness in the group of death in Group F with France, Germany, and Portugal. And Sean, your dream match of Italy and France might not happen if Portugal is able to find their way around France and Germany pulls out a victory. France and England, as you know, being half of the Final Four in the 2018 World Cup, have kind of struggled through the group stage. France is only both teams, England and France, have only managed 2 goals, and while their defense has shown up, offense has been spare for both sides. So, Sean, are you a little bit worried about England going into knockout stage? And do you think France can squeak their way out of their group going up against Ronaldo and Portugal?
I think that France will be fine. They do have 4 points. They should be able to qualify with the with the third place result. So I still think France should be able to qualify with goal differential. But here's the thing. Kylian Mbappe needs to learn how to stay onside. He is so incredibly fast, but the problem is he's not staying onside. And also, France got a little bit complacent against Hungary. They were losing to Hungary at halftime. Do you know how shocking that is? Hungary is a team that combined with all their salaries makes less than N'Golo Kante. Okay, that's just N'Golo Kante. I'm not talking about any other French player. I'm just talking about the 2021 Ballon d'Or winner, N'Golo Kante, okay? Because we all know that's going to happen, especially what he did with Chelsea. But I think France should be fine. They're way too good to be eliminated. I think they're going to get at least a draw against Portugal, considering how Portugal got dominated by Kai Havertz, Robin Gosens, and Germany. I just feel like there's no way. I don't see Portugal beating France. Then again, I did say that in 2016 Euro final. We all know what happened there. But I think France will be fine. Now let's talk about England real quick. They did beat Czech Republic. They did get 7 points in their group stage. So England did advance. But when Raheem Sterling has been your only goal scorer, something is wrong here. I'm sorry, Cameron. I know you love Raheem Sterling. You have a Raheem Sterling
I don't
jersey
love
yourself.
Raheem Sterling, but you got to say Manchester City is responsible for 100% of England's offense so far.
This is true. I mean, you do have a Raheem Sterling jersey. I do just want to point that out here. But Raheem Sterling's been the goal scorer. Now, the reason that England did not do so well the first 2 matches, yes, they did beat Croatia 1-0, is why did it take you until the third match to really use Jack Grealish? I don't understand this. Jack Grealish is one of your best playmakers, superstar for Aston Villa. Why did it take you that long to fully implement him? Also, why did it take you so long to implement Baki Osaka? As an Arsenal fan, he's easily the best thing a better club. And they're finally using him, and he won star of the match. Okay. They're actually using Bakio Saka. Gareth Southgate does not know how to use the talent on his team. He doesn't. Jadon Sancho, do you understand how amazing he was for Borussia Dortmund the last few years? Okay, Jadon Sancho's been missing. Gareth Southgate does not know how to make lineups. He's like Mikel Arteta. Doesn't understand how to make a correct starting 11. Doesn't know how to use his playmakers well. So Gareth Southgate is not the correct coach for England. For some reason, they're still sticking with him, even though he completely folded against Croatia back in 2018. So I think that England, I don't see them getting past the quarterfinals. Maybe they can win in the round of 16, but I don't see them getting past the quarterfinals. They don't have enough consistency in their starting lineup. And Harry Kane has been dismally bad.
So just to put it on the record, are you saying that England's run to the semifinal in 2018 was a fluke?
Yes, it was fluke because they played a Colombia team without James Rodriguez. And I'll say this to my grave. If James Rodriguez played for Colombia against England in 2016, the round of 16, Colombia wins that match. Okay, because they went to penalties without him. And they played Sweden in the quarterfinals. Now, Sweden's not bad, but that was one of the easiest quarterfinal draws you'll ever get in a World Cup. And they lost to Croatia, a team that had a shaky backline, and their striker literally quit on the team before the World Cup. They got lucky because all the great teams were on the other side. Belgium had to play Brazil and France, while England played Sweden and Croatia. A massive difference. Belgium got robbed of being in that World Cup final just because they were on the wrong side of the World Cup bracket. So yes, England got very lucky in 2018, and Gareth Southgate is not it. England is not getting past the quarterfinals of Euro. I just don't see it happening.
Now, Johnny and Evan, I don't know if you all have any English blood or not, but what are we thinking so far on your side? Johnny, you have English blood. So what are your thoughts on Sean saying that England's run in 2018 was a pure fluke?
It's all about, well, looking at now, I'm not going to get into it. I will lose any history argument I get into it, Sean. That's just going to happen. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to give Sean that tip of the cap to him. It's all about scoring chances. It's not about goals scored. It's not about shots. It's about scoring chances. And England's scoring chances are few and far between. You can't rely on one player, Raheem Sterling, to run your entire offense. It just doesn't work like that. The Netherlands, Belgium, and company, great. They have a lot of scoring chances. Italy, there's another one. Scoring chances equates to a lot of scoring opportunities, which equates to a lot of goals. England doesn't have that. They've been able to skid by their teeth. Given the round that they're in, it's not the weakest group in the world, but it's still not the gauntlet that is, say, France, Germany, and Portugal. So, yeah, England's going to be in a little bit of some hot water if they don't get some scoring going. Hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly on board with Sean and Johnny's sentiment here. England's in trouble. Scotland embarrassed them, and they didn't even score. So, I mean, it's not looking bright for England, and I'm not the biggest soccer guy, but all I know is England is down in the dumps right now.
Oh,
on to the NBA, and last night was kind of an embarrassment for the league. I don't know why these two are laughing, but 33 minutes, lads, to complete 90 seconds of basketball in the fourth quarter. There were the same amount of field goals in the last 90 seconds as video replays. And I'll ask this, has video replay kind of screwed our thoughts on how games should be officiated? Because we look at VAR in soccer, we look at video replay in baseball. The only thing where I see the game really keeping its own spirits in the NFL, because there's
we got some technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, stand by, ladies and gentlemen.
There goes Cameron.
Uh-oh.
It's probably a good thing, though, because Cameron's about to go off about his Clippers. I'll just tell you now. Yeah, the Clippers are going to lose that
Y'all hear
series.
me?
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, there we
God,
go.
my
Oh, there he is.
my mic broke for some reason. I don't know what's going on over here.
Kind
It's
of like
not
your
working.
psyche in that game.
Yeah, my psyche was being lost. It wasn't
Oh.
because of the Clippers losing. It's because of how bad the
Okay.
officiating was. The officiating
Okay,
throughout the
you can
game
say
was
that.
just horrendous. But here we are, 33 minutes to take up to finish a game pretty much. And, say what you want about the final play and how the NBA doesn't know how to find the black or white with the cylinder rule. The cylinder rule is the dumbest thing in basketball. It just shouldn't exist at all. But I'll ask Johnny, I know you've been kind of adamant about video replay with the pretty much killing of pace of play in last night's game and throughout basketball, where we've seen these just a whole bunch of video replays. Has our mentality towards officiating been kind of flawed by this video replay? Because in sports, it's okay if, a player shoots 3 of 8 from the field, only gets one hit every 4 at bats, but the officials miss the ball going off the fingertips of Devin Booker out of bounds, and all of a sudden we're crying bloody murder when it's not challenged and ruled Clipper ball.
Right. Or, trying to figure out what 10 players were on the court for 20 minutes after the play transpired. Here's the thing with all this entire situation. Number one, the situation doesn't happen if Paul George makes his free throws, but that's beside the point. In relation to the 1990s, when Michael Jordan and company were in a much more physical league, now that the league is a lot less physical, players have been taught, and I'm not saying they flopped necessarily, but they've started to talk and chirp more toward the officiators to go to the replay because it's a lot less physical. This is a gradual thing over time. If this was a much more physical league, I don't think you would see a lot of the officiating blunders you would see now. I really believe that, because I think there wouldn't be a lot of gray area. It'd be completely black and white, of course, with some transparency in there. But I'm all about getting the call right. I'm always about that. And you know what? I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of pace of play if that's what it takes to get the call right, because I don't want another Dez dropped it situation, period.
But do you think I'll ask you follow up, does it kind of break the spirit of the game? Because look at the Devin Booker, Patrick Beverley incident. Patrick Beverley knocks the ball out of bounds, but by technicality, I guess the ball was on the fingertips of Devin Booker, even though Patrick Beverley clearly initiated the ball out of bounds. It's not like Devin Booker chucked the ball out of bounds. But do you think that kind of ruins the spirit of the game when we're going off of pure technicality and not just in the flow of basketball?
In terms of that particular instance, yes, I think it does. Because like the announcer said during the game, if you're going to call it that way, you should call it every other time, because that happens a lot. Like you might as well give the ball an automatic turnover every single time that happens, because in that certain situation, when the offensive player has the ball, more than likely they're going to be touching it last. But it's all about who initiated that contact. If you're going to call it one way, you have to be consistent. And I don't think in that particular situation they are. So in that case, I'm all about getting it right, but you have to be consistent too. You can't call it one way and then call it another just because it's the postseason. You can't go on pure technicalities just because it's the playoffs. You have to be consistent from the regular season to the postseason, in my opinion. And of course, I think in terms of pace of play, I think the spirits are broken to a degree when you get that kind of play wrong and get that call wrong. But my biggest issue was going back to that, figuring out who was on the court. I'm sorry. It shouldn't take. How long did that take? Like, get on with it. There's 7 seconds left on the clock. Like, come on. Like, it's easy. Pause the TV, see who's on the court. Boom. It's 2021. There's cameras everywhere. It shouldn't take that long. The spirits of the game is going to be slowed down if you want to get the call right, but it's going to be fractured if you wait an incessantly long time to get said call right. Like, you have to be a little bit quicker. And again, this goes back to training. This goes back to officiating, what to look for in a particular situation. It's going to be bang, bang, because there's not a lot of time left. But you have to be a lot quicker. Maybe that means you have to get another ref. Maybe that means you have to go more technology. I don't know, but yeah, it shouldn't have lasted 30 minutes.
I'll say the same thing that I said when it comes to the pitchers, at TSA. Balance. Listen, here's a rule that I think we should implement. And I've said this for the NFL too. If you have 2 minutes maximum to look at something, if you can't find something definitive, go with the call on the floor. Go with the call in the field.
And to just not to interrupt you, but this happened in the game. Patrick Beverly goes down on what looked like contact with Devin Booker. The refs just stopped the game. There's no call on the floor. They stopped the game because Patrick Beverly's down. This has never happened before. But the refs see Patrick Beverly down while Devin Booker's driving him for a layup, and they stop play. No call on the court. They just go to video replay. Like I said, it's not being mad at the result that happened. It's the just corrupt officiating we saw, as John likes to say, corrupt. Everything's corrupt. But last night was just pure just garbage from Scott Foster. Oh, it's Scott Foster, ladies and gentlemen. But I mean, it's all bad. Last night was just a bad night for officiating.
Yes, I do agree with that. I don't know what that was, but in general, yes, you shouldn't disrupt the pace play because, like, yeah, sports is entertainment. Like, let's get on with it, as Johnny said. Let's get on with it. But there should be a time limit when it comes to looking at stuff. I think the NFL should have that too. You shouldn't be looking at something like 5-6 minutes. Like, that's ridiculous. Just
right,
like 1.5, 2 minutes time limit. So that way we don't keep interrupting it. And also there should be a limit as to how often you can look at stuff late in the game. Maybe a maximum of 4 replays under 2 minutes. Just to get limits, and just so while we do want the calls to be right, we don't interfere with play. Balance. That's what I'm trying to say here. Balance. Come on, it's not that hard, people.
I mean, I feel like the NBA refs have just been mad inconsistent all season. Down the stretch of the season, I feel like there's only a handful of games where I watched all the way through where the refs weren't single-handedly deciding important factors of the game. And I don't know, I just don't think that's how sports should be played. I don't think it should rely on refs to, I don't think refs should carry the weight of the game. And I feel like that's where the NBA is right now. And going off of what you were saying, Johnny, with a video ref, I think that should be instituted. I think it could be used in almost every sports league, having a ref in the building on the video cameras that is trained just the same way all the other refs are. And their only job is to sit there and look for calls, either in hockey on the ice, on the court in basketball, on the field in football, in radio down to the refs, what the call should be and where it should go. So that way it doesn't disrupt the pace of play. Because if you already have a guy on video whose job it is to review the video, I feel like that process would be taken care of in less than 30 seconds per incident. And I think most leagues should take a look at that, especially with how many cameras are in the building now and how big, things are blasted on TV. Every single one of us fans at home has a TV that we could look on and see the same angles that the refs are seeing when they're reviewing. I mean, it's tough when they still get calls wrong.
I don't know the logistics, but in terms of the NHL and MLB, I'm sorry. If I'm challenging, I shouldn't have to go to New York to find out what's the right call or not. I shouldn't have to go to Toronto to figure out what call or not in hockey is right, whether or not a player was offsides 5 minutes ago, as Sean mentioned. So yeah, I don't know what the logistics are. I'm just someone observing, but there has to be a lot easier situation than this. It has to be a lot more fluid.
Yeah, and even if you have to go somewhere else, like in a whole entire officiating system, look at as much as we gave VAR, at least the refs wear earpieces to where they can hear and say, okay, if we have to check it, then we'll go. But let us know, and then we keep going. The clock still runs in soccer. It never stops. That's why we get added time between at the end of halves. But the game never stops. They check. They're listening to see if, okay, now we need the review. But you got to take the MLB umpires, the NHL officials, the NBA officials. They got to walk all the way to the monitor, put on their headsets and listen in and have an entire conversation to figure out, while soccer refs are just listening and hearing what's going on. And then if they're like, okay, we need your input, then they're going to go over. But still, it doesn't even take that long for VAR to decide something. Now, VAR has broken hearts aplenty, but at least they're consistent in getting it done in time. While NBA, it takes 30 minutes to decide who belongs on the court and who doesn't. Should be pretty simple, but I guess not. The Eastern Conference Finals get underway tonight. The Atlanta Hawks taking on the Milwaukee Bucks in what nobody expected to be the conference finals. But Evan, I will start with you here since you did write the preview for the site. How can the Bucks slow down Trae Young? Do the Bucks keep them outside? Is Drew Holiday going to make Trae Young's life a living hell? What do the Bucks need to do in order to stop the superstar known as Trae Young?
The Bucks are just a tough team defensively. Over the course of the playoffs, they've allowed the second least points per game of any team in the playoffs this year. So it's going to be hard. The Milwaukee Bucks won the season series 2-1. In the one game that the Atlanta Hawks did win, they won by a very slight margin, and that margin was reflected by the rebound totals. In each of their matchups, the total score between the two has been pretty much the margin between rebounds for each side. So if Clint Capella can lock down the glass and keep Giannis off the boards, we might see a battle here. But Giannis is still Giannis. Drew Holiday has been playing lockdown defensively, and Chris Middleton's really found his shot in clutch moments for the Bucks. So it's going to be tough, and I don't know if Atlanta can pull off this series.
The Milwaukee Bucks are going to win this series, I think. Like I said on Monday, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are the favorites to win the NBA title right now. And considering that the Suns just took a 2-0 lead in the Western Conference Finals and Chris Paul hasn't even played, I think it's safe to assume that the Suns are going to be in the NBA Finals at this point. Sorry, Cameron. I know that you've started the previous two series slow as well. But
we're taking the Nuggets arc of last year. We get it, Sean. Thank you.
Yes, but the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns, that's what the NBA Finals are looking like. I think the Bucks have too much talent. Like I said, the second and third scores on the Bucks have stepped up big time. And as good as Atlanta is, this is just a little bit too much for them to handle. I'll make a hockey comparison here. This is basically the 2019 Carolina Hurricanes. They made a great run in the playoffs. They swept the Islanders in the second round after beating the Capitals in the first round. But they ran into a team that was much better, more veteran laden, and the Hurricanes got blown out. I don't think the Hawks are going to get blown out. I think they're gonna win a game or two. The Hawks have too much shooting. Like I said, they are built like an NBA, the quintessential NBA team nowadays. Kevin Huerter is, in my opinion, their most important player, even more than Trae Young. But I feel like the Bucks have too much talent. This is the biggest series they've had in decades. And I think the Bucks are going to seize it. And I think we're going to get a Suns-Bucks NBA Finals, which who saw that coming before the season? Literally not a soul.
I'll just say it. I'm going with the Hawks in this series. I'm going with them. And here's why. Nothing to do with the numbers, nothing to do with the offensive rebound totals. You know what it has to do with? Not being conservative. We talked about this on Monday. What was Philadelphia's problem? Being too conservative. Ben Simmons not taking a shot, not making a shot, being too passive when he was inside the lane.
The head coach of Philly.
Exactly. But you know what Atlanta did? Why did they win that series? Because they weren't conservative. They were ice cold in their veins. Trae Young, I think I'm not saying he's going to be the next Stephen Curry, but he can come very darn close if he reaches his potential. You can't guard someone that can shoot anywhere as well as you can guard, say, someone who only strictly goes into the paint. He can shoot anywhere. He can shoot 35 plus feet away from the basket if he wants to. I just feel as if the momentum from that Brooklyn series, from the Philly series, I'm just going with the momentum here. I get it. Trust me, I get it. Milwaukee has the size. They have Giannis. I get that. I just have what was the biggest problem with Atlanta was that they were raw, that they were inconsistent, that they were not experienced. But they're not necessarily reckless, but they're not afraid. And I think that's going to be a difference big time.
But is Trae Young better than Kevin Durant?
Well, they're two different players. One of them is a lot bigger in terms of what, shooting or what? Health?
All around. Who's tougher to guard, Trae Young or Kevin Durant?
I would say Kevin Durant because of the size.
Exactly. If J. Holiday was able to lock down a guy that has, I don't know, 3-4 inches on him, I think he'll be able to lock down another point guard in the league.
But wasn't that the draft thing against Stephen Curry back in the day? Oh, he's so short. He comes from a group of, a mid-major school. He'll be easy to guard, blah, 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 blah. That's the thing with these short players. Like on paper, that makes sense. I see that. But on the other hand, if you could shoot, you could shoot. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, I definitely think Trae Young could go off, but I'm saying, can he do enough to carry the Hawks past the Bucks when Kevin Durant couldn't do that with the Nets?
Well, yeah, you gotta look at the depth players of Atlanta too. Bogdan, Capella.
I think the biggest advantage here goes to Milwaukee because they just have the size and physicality advantage. I mean, what are you going to do when a PJ Tucker's guarding you? What are you going to do with a Drew Holiday's guarding you? And you've got Giannis, who's just a athletic freak of nature. You get put all those three on the court at the same time. There's going to be great defense played, and Nate McMillan and the Atlanta Hawks are going to have to find a way around that. I think they can. I think we're going to have a pretty competitive 7-game series on our hands, but I think that physicality favors Milwaukee by a lot. And I think that's what will be the difference in this series. Like when Milwaukee's at home, Atlanta might not score more than 90 points a game. That's just where we're at. Because we've seen it when Milwaukee's on the road. And when Milwaukee's at home, the refs they just let them have at it. They're going to have all the hand checks. They're going to play physical and they allow it. And I'm fine with physical basketball. I think we need more of it. More players to be physical than we are just calling whatever just to, control the game because the refs want to control every single game. But I think just Milwaukee having that pretty wide advantage, I think favors them to win this series. But we're going to close this episode with a new lightning round segment, similar to what we do on our NASCAR podcast called Floor It or Hit the Brakes. I have a couple prompts here, just completely out of context. I'm just going to say it. Sean and Evan have pieces of paper to determine what they're going to go with. And Johnny's just, I guess, going to say it because Johnny came unprepared. But let's test this out. All right. So first off, we've got NASCAR fan taking on the track cooler policy and the NASCAR media all at once, trying to start a civil war of sorts.
Floor it? What is that? What floor it? What's a NASCAR fan gonna take on the media? What is?
Sean says the break. Johnny, you're a tiebreaker.
Pump the brakes. That's what I meant. Right. Simmer down, everybody. Like
Randy the plumber, yes, on Twitter, very hilarious guy, has been adamant about NASCAR and their track cooler policy at Texas Motor Speedway, where it was well over 100 degrees and humid. Texas Motor Speedway didn't allow people to bring in coolers, so there were just lines for hours long of people trying to get water. And, he was very angry, let's just say, on Twitter, gets invited on Sirius XM NASCAR, talks about it, and then shows up at Nashville, is taking pictures with a bunch of drivers. No one said boycott, but he said the fans won't show up. So he didn't want to leave that. And then some NASCAR media member took a picture of him at the track and started this whole thing about people, and a bunch of people were slandering Randy. And now we've got almost a civil war on our fans between this one guy and a couple of NASCAR media members. So look, I'm in favor of a track cooler policy, especially going to Auto Club in Fontana, where it's usually 90 degrees, but when race time comes around, we don't need fans standing in line for hours during a race. It's just unnecessary. And I think NASCAR is in a boat where they can do something special because you're not in a controlled environment like an arena, and you can do something different to make that fan experience unique to sports and allow those coolers to be let in. I don't think it's the end of the world, but we don't need a civil war over track cooler policies. What do you think, Evan?
I love it. I love that this fan's getting up there and demanding that he can bring in his cooler to the racetrack so he doesn't have to wait in lines because he's an American. I'm all about it. I love that fans, and I don't know, I love the recognition that it's getting. It's just such a funny situation. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Sons and Four guy a little bit in terms of their 15 minutes of fame right now. But whatever this guy's got to do to make his day better.
This guy needs to chill out a little bit here. I get, America's a beautiful society, with democracy and all that, but you got to stay in your lane and chill here a bit. If you want to make some change, don't start riling up everybody, and be more professional about it, and maybe convince more powerful people to be on your side about it, or maybe get a petition or something like that. Don't stir up stuff hit the brakes on this, Randy. Hit the brakes. Chill.
Yeah, pump the brakes. Come on.
All right. High school basketball players hit by tortillas. Where are we going, lads? Keep it moving, or are we slamming on the brakes to talk about it?
We need to slam the brakes on this. What's this about? Is this a high school game, or is this
we got
NBA?
two more. We got two more guys that still need to answer. What do we think, gents? Are we stopping this train, or are we keeping it rolling? All right. So in the CIF Southern Regional Final, Division 4A, and Evan, this is in your neck of the woods. Coronado High School and Orange Glen did battle for the 4A title, and they had played each other previously, and Coronado had beat them. Coronado High School, their players, and I believe some fans, some coaches, video evidence. After the game, Coronado, let's say personnel, started throwing tortillas at the Orange Glen players after the game. And you want to know the crazy part? Here we go. Orange Glen is 81% Hispanic on their side. So yes, it is currently under review by the CIF board and under the Coronado Unified School District and all that. Head coach has already been fired, and now they're looking at potentially stripping titles, but that's not going to really do much if you take a title, because they've already won two of those against the same school. So yeah, what do we think about high schoolers being hit by tortillas, lads?
This is no different than, let's take it to the major leagues. I'm an Orioles fan. I remember when Adam Jones went to this play against the San Francisco Giants in 2013, someone threw a banana onto the field. And then, of course, the whole Toronto Blue Jay saga. Fans up there weren't really nice with Adam Jones either. It's the same exact thing here. This is blatant racism, period. It's not that hard to see. And something has to be done, period. Come on. This is blatant as day.
The Coronado Parent Teacher Organization came out with a statement afterwards saying, this is a thing called a tortilla toss, which other colleges have done in celebration of championships. And every single person in the comment section under that was just looking at them like, who thought this was a good idea? I don't know. It's terrible in today's times. We shouldn't see this. It's racist as, expletive, but I don't know. Trying to come out afterwards and be like, no, this is a thing, guys. It's weird. It's horrible. I think that their head coach should be fired. I think that they should, Coronado is a really uppity area of San Diego, nice on the beach, a lot of rich white kids. So, they need to take a look in the mirror, and maybe I could see a suspension for them in San Diego CIF for the next couple of years.
Yeah, this is bad. There's no reason to justify this. I don't think I have to say any more than that.
Finally, I've got one more. I got to prepare my French a little bit. Encore une victoire.
Let's floor it. I feel I don't know. There's something weird about this.
Well, I guess we don't want to talk about Canadians being one win away from the Stanley Cup final. Yes, that's what one win away is in French. But yes, the Montreal Canadiens are one win away, stopping the defense. But I guess we don't want to talk about it. I guess we'll save it for another time. You said forward. You said keep the ball rolling.
This is deserving of a 20-minute thing, not a 2-minute thing.
You said florid. You said keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, keep the puck rolling, actually.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about it on another episode. So guess what? We're going to follow the rule here. Thank you guys for tuning into today's episode. since we didn't want to talk about hockey, we'll save it for Friday's show. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification button so you know exactly when we go live. Make sure to check out all of our work on the website, therichport.com. We've got Evans, Bucks, and Hawks preview coming out today. And I've also got a very long piece on the mirror images of coaching careers of Pep Guardiola and Doc Rivers. So be sure to check out both pieces. For Sean Clark, Evan McNelia, and Johnny Crane, I am Cameron Richardson, and we will see you on Friday for another stream, another episode of The Rich Report. Have a great rest of your day.
Let's see. Do I have